Welcome to MI Magazine presents Soul, a weekly entertainment show on fashion, arts and culture, relationships, mental health, and food. Our weekly guest hosts are Christy Grace Chambers, Carla Hill, Dr. Delvina Thomas, and Chef Irene. Now introducing our host, Miss Nikki Jellin.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to MIA Magazine presents So. I am your host, Nikki Jellin, and we pride ourselves on bringing you Black cultural news right here within Dade, Broward, and the Palm Beaches. So really quick, so today's Legacy Miami and Legacy of South Florida, we now present to you the top Black healthcare professionals for 2020. So visit MIA Magazine or MIA Media, grp.com to see like our honorees and who our candidates are for the healthcare professionals. Now, I also do want to mention that we have a special guest tonight. Her name is Katia Saint Fleur. She is a political strategist, and we'll be talking about just voting. It is crunch time, y'all. Today is Wednesday. Election day is on Tuesday. Sunday, November 1st, is the last day for early voting. So our guest tonight, she is well-rounded in the political field and industry. She is a lobbyist, she's a journalist, and most importantly, she's an advocate for women and minorities as far as voting and politics and the government. I also do want to mention that Sunday was National Jamaican Jerk Day. I was able to tune in, and our co-host, Chef Irene, was a featured chef, and he was able to talk about and feature his jerk salmon and shrimp. There was performances. It was a great virtual festival. It's normally held in person. However, because of the pandemic, it was held virtually on VP Records. So if you go to their YouTube page, you'll see all the performances, all the culinary demos, the performances, and also what happened on Sunday. And I do want to mention again that early voting ends on Sunday. So one thing I do want to reiterate is that when you go vote, don't just vote for the president or who is running for the presidency. Our local governing bodies are extremely important as well. So as far as the judges, commissioners, public defenders, the amendments, it's really important. So I have spoken to a few people, and they've actually went in and only voted for the president. But again, vote more than just a president, because it starts from the bottom up. So if you're busy, if you don't have time, just reach out to a friend or a family member. Google who's going to be on the ballot within your counties, within your districts. Reach out to me. I can help you as well. And I recently learned that the Black voter count is down in Miami-Dade County. It is extremely down. Guys, it is so crucial that you get out there and you vote. It is your civic duty, and you don't want to forfeit your power to go out there and vote. So bring 10, 20, 30 people with you. Reach out to your friends, your family members, but it is crunch time. And again, we have our special guest tonight. Her name is Katia Saint Fleur. She is a political strategist and a lobbyist. So we'll get more insight from her. We'll get her insight and her feedback. So again, it is crunch time. Get out there and vote and bring your friends and your family. So I do want to pass this over to my first co-host. She is a stylist and a personal shopper. You can also catch her on NBC6's Six in the Mix. So Christy Grace Chambers, what do we have tonight?
Hey, Nikki. Hey. Yes, honey. Please, everyone go out there and vote. I'm with you. So tonight we are talking about what happened at the Hip Hop Awards last night. Did anybody watch? I was inspired by some of the fashion to wear multiple chains. So that was definitely one of the trends last night. So you saw many of the artists wearing chains. So a lot of them had bling on, you know, bling bling was started by Lil Wayne, right? That saying, bling bling, and now it's bling. So everybody from Quavo, Lil Baby, Beanie Man, everybody had on multiple chains, not just a single layer chain, but multiple chains. And I have to point out here that Gucci Mane wore Gucci, of course. He always wears Gucci. So on the next slide, I just want to talk about some other things that I saw. A trend in color was mint. So mint is not a color that you think about, and it's definitely not a color you typically associate with hip hop. But Toby, this singer here, who also highlighted Breonna Taylor, or I should call him an artist. He's more than a singer. George Floyd, and then of course T.I. or Tip, whatever he's going by today, also had on the same color. And I think that was super fly. You know, it's kind of a spring color, but hey, it worked. And we'll talk about some of my favorites. I have to give my favorites from last night to Skip Marley here. And you might say, okay, he just has on black. But this was like a black mandarin collared shirt, and these pants just look so luxurious. So you know how, Nikki, I always talk about fit and how important fit is. Look at how that shirt fits him and how those pants fit him. And that's what makes this basic look one of my favorites. And then my tie favorite, or maybe slightly edged up, is Master P in this blue. And you may know, but blue is the 2020 Pantone color of the year. So blue right here, I think he looks amazing simply because this is the image that Master P needs to project right now. Even that it's the Hip Hop Awards, he's really super fly in this suit. And that is, you know, his level. He's a boss, right?
Right.
So my favorite for women was actually Brandy. And I love it because this is kind of, if you want to call it achievable outfit, is by Pyre Moss. And that's a Black-owned brand. And, she rocked it with the cute jacket and the shades. And I think that looks really good. And as I end, Nikki, I want to talk about some of just mentions, in case anyone didn't see it. So I have to mention my girl, Erykah Badu, who rocked what I'm going to call a bedazzled out do-rag. I don't know. It looks like a wave hat, right? With gold on it. But who else can pull that off but Erykah Badu, right?
Right.
And then you have her, who is in leather, or faux leather, vegan leather, I'm not sure what it is, but I just bring this up as a mention since last week we talked about leather being a huge fall trend. And I'm only pointing out the feet of City Girls, MIA, represent MIA. City Girls wore combat boots. And also last week I mentioned that combat boots were a big fall trend, remember? So they had on that. And this lady in the middle, I forget her name, I want to say it's Sunny Patterson, but she is a spoken word artist. And I think, her sleeves were super cool. So that's the mention. So Nikki, that's the recap. So if you want to watch it, I just recommend going to that Toby guy in the mint color. I don't know how to say his last name, but he was amazing. I love that performance. And, the fashion was pretty good.
Awesome. Okay. Well, now I want to kind of research if it was like vegan faux fur or actually fur. So now you have me curious about that.
The leather. So
Leather. Sorry.
just looking at it honestly, it looked like it was faux leather.
Gotcha. Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Christy, and we'll see you next week. Bye. And now to my next co-host. She is a national TV host on PBS, an over 40 model, and most importantly, a breast cancer survivor. So, Miss Carla Hill, how are you tonight?
Nikki.
And what do you have for us?
I'm great. I want to tag on to our theme tonight of voting. People usually don't think about their health, but we're voting for so many things. We're voting for president, and we're voting for what we think is our right to health care. However you feel about it, just vote. So today I'm taking a culture turn and looking at the art of survival. I'm a breast cancer survivor, among other things. I had my first breast cancer. The first picture I have there is this, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, young thing, long hair, 2 breasts, thinking that the plan for life was going to go as I envisioned it. But I'm here today to talk especially to anyone that is going through a health journey. I want to share some tips from 8 ways to be there for yourself after a breast cancer diagnosis that was published in Self magazine. The next photo I have is that we have to remember that you are more than your diagnosis. This is a picture of my husband, Marlon, and I lost my hair with my first breast cancer diagnosis. I had to do chemo, but I embraced that baldness. My good friend Renee brought me some eyelashes, and it was done from there. One of the things that you have to remember, as I think about my alter ego, Grace Jones, breast cancer can feel like it's your new identity. What can you do to experience the real you post-treatment? So I have sort of like a fashion vision board, and Grace has been there, oh my gosh, since I could remember when I was in elementary school. So I have learned to be my authentic self through channeling Grace Jones. Also, this next photo, I'm doing what I love to do. I'm doing TV hosting. Nikki mentioned that, even as a breastless beauty, double mastectomy, no breasts, I've been blessed with a wonderful agent that still gets me work, still gets me model work, and I'm able to be my true authentic self. And I think that's because I take time to do the things that make me happy. I almost said no to MIA Soul because I was in a funk, over some health issues that I've had this summer. But I want to thank the MIA Soul group for being so supportive and just not accepting no for an answer. So in all of this, please make sure that you find things that you love. And this is especially so with me. This is my carnival picture, honey. Nikki, already know. Here I am in Trinidad and Tobago, no breast. Look at that deep V. Come on. Can I get an amen? Hello.
Amen.
I am in Trinidad and Tobago parading in Carnival because it is my peace. It is my happiness. One of the things, here's another picture of myself and my husband, again, as I'm going through treatment. And we planned trips. We were in the Bahamas. Let yourself feel everything you're feeling. As Black people, we sometimes feel that we have to carry the world like Atlas. And I want to bring up our good friend, Dr. Delvina. Go seek therapy. Seek a professional that can help you get through those feelings. It's something that we are getting used to more in the Black community. And I want to say it is something that we need to take advantage of. So seek out those professionals. And the bottom line, Nikki, and everyone watching today, is that whatever you may be feeling after a breast cancer diagnosis is fair and it is valid. Experimenting with what helps you cope best is what you need to do. People will come and tell you to drink this, eat that, do this, do that. Your body will always tell you. There's a doctor, Dr. Kalia, that says people deal with breast cancer differently, and there's no right or wrong way to handle it. So as you are on your health journey, I just want to encourage everyone to explore and be their authentic self. I know that I am enjoying being this new Carla. I don't want to go back to pre-Carla. I like this new, brave Carla that I am doing my best to support and thrive. It's not an easy road, but you can do it. You can do it. So thank you so much for allowing my culture piece to remind people to vote, and also letting you know that the light is at the end of the tunnel. Just envision it.
It sure is. And you're so inspirational. Your energy is so like contagious. And thank you so much. And your smile is so beautiful.
Oh, likewise.
So thanks for sharing your experiences and your journey with us. And
well,
thank you.
I thank my
So,
my legacy family for the support.
Awesome. Thank you, Carla. We'll see you next week. And now, again, I mentioned earlier that National Jamaican Jerk Day was on October 25th. There was a festival, there was a culinary demos and performances, and Chef Irie, my co-host, was a part of it. So Chef Irie, again, the jerk salmon and the jerk shrimp, oh my goodness, it was all virtual, but I actually smelled it through my tablet like video screen. Anyways.
Eat it up.
So what do you have for us tonight?
Big ups. So before I get into anything, just like everybody else that's been on here, please go and vote. I already voted, and Miami-Dade. Yo, black folks, y'all need to be out here voting. So go vote. All right. So, real quickly, I just want to talk a little bit about where we get our food from, and as a chef, one of the things that I pride myself in when I'm cooking for clients is to get the freshest of ingredients. So, in a lot of places around the country, fresh, believe it or not, fresh, especially fresh vegetables and fresh fruits and stuff, often is not available to certain parts of the country. And when that happens, those areas are defined as food deserts, because a lot of the food, like I said, is not accessible, as opposed to a food oasis, where everything is readily accessible. You can walk down the street, you can drive down the road, your Publix, your Winn-Dixie, everything is there. You can get all of that stuff. Fresh fruit, fresh meat, butcher shop, all that stuff. So what does that lead to? Well, we need to come up with solutions, and invariably, community gardens, usually are places that now are springing up around the places. You have some here in South Florida and Broward County as well. And I remember traveling around, to DC, and that's where I started seeing a lot of open plots that were designated as community gardens, and people would go there and get a plot and farm, whether it's tomatoes, whatever it is they're doing. So not only do you have community gardens, but farmers markets. Right. So I don't know if you've never been to a farmer's market, you need to go to a farmer's market. Okay. Not just to get, fresh vegetables and everything, but your candles, your soap, anything that's organic, but access to fresh food produce is very important. Not just important for us as adults, but for our kids. We need to make sure that stuff is there for them, so that they can go get the nutrition, understand the nutritional products, and understand why, we must have access, especially in urban areas. We need to have access to all of that stuff. So when you're out there cooking, think where you can go get, some fresh vegetables, fresh produce, fresh fruits, and share the wealth, share the bounty, and make sure that, all these dishes that you're creating are going to be sumptuous and organic.
Okay, awesome.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Chef Irie. Everything was great, like you said a while ago. Cheers.
Yes. So large ups to the crew from National Jamaica Jerk Day, and big ups to everybody that participated. We don't know what next year is going to bring, but stay tuned.
Know what? I'm hoping next year we're going to be in person, live and in person on the
I
actual
hope I
grounds
hope
next
so
year.
too. I hope so too. You know,
All right.
definitely. You know, so
So,
large ups, go vote, and you know, hit up your catering people for your holiday needs this year.
Chef Irie, awesome. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week. And again, we have a special guest tonight. Her name is Katia Saint Fleur. She is well involved in the political and governmental affairs within Florida, nationwide, and globally. So Katia, thank you so much for being our guest tonight. Oh my goodness, it's great to like see. I was gonna say in person, but to see you virtually in person.
It's all good. It's all good. I'm so excited about being with you tonight.
Awesome. So we're in crunch time right now because Tuesday is literally like right here. Like we can see Tuesday around the corner.
Right.
So given your background, and I did some research, so what inspired your path into like government and politics? Like what was behind that fire?
You know, I grew up, I'm Haitian American. So I grew up in a household where all they talked about was either politics or soccer. So
What's both?
no, I didn't turn into a soccer player, and I always have loved the news. So I've always just kind of been interested in it. I have a passion for community building and changing my community. And I know that politics is one of the many ways that you can do that type of work in your community is by being engaged in politics.
So, okay. So I know your background is journalism, media, governmental affairs. Okay. So what is your typical workday like?
Oh God, I don't have a typical work
We
day.
can like summarize it. Like just kind of give us like a briefing.
I can tell you what the last 6 days have looked like. And it's really just been trying to galvanize and organize as many folks to get out and vote as possible. We are working with organizations throughout the entire state. Our goal at Florida for All Education Fund is to try to engage 1.5 million Black voters. And in that space, I'm working with the Caribbean and the Haitian community to get our community out to vote in large numbers, because we all know that our vote is our power. And when we vote in large numbers, it demands that we get a different level of respect.
Good. And so really quickly, based on my research, you're also like a lobbyist?
You've done a lot of research.
Okay. So I think I may be a little biased right now, but based on my perception of a lobbyist, my perception is based on Scandal, like House of Cards, and like cable news networks mentions. Is that like accurate as far as who a lobbyist is and what they do? What does that entail?
I wouldn't say that it's not accurate, but I wouldn't say that it's accurate, right? We have to be mindful that it's for entertainment. What you see on TV is for entertainment, but we do lobby for, what they don't talk about are people who lobby for organizations, people who lobby for their communities. I do a lot of lobbying in Tallahassee, so I lobby the state legislature. So I work with small organizations, I work with nonprofit organizations, I work with community leaders that may have initiatives that they want to push through in Tallahassee. And in addition to the folks that we elect, you need some folks who also have relationships with other elected officials to try to get those things passed and to bring resources back to their community. So it's not all of what you see, but there is some of what you see does exist.
Okay, but it's not like harmful to you or your family or like anything of that sort. Okay.
It's not it's definitely not Olivia Pope, but it's a lot of work. So I always tell folks that everyone has a lobbyist. They just don't know it. As a kid, you grow up, at least I did. My brother was always like, why don't you go ask? You go ask.
Right.
And like, you go ask for pizza tonight. You got
be the spokesperson.
Right.
Right.
So it's essentially in a basic form, that same type of, you build the relationships to help your community or your clients.
Good. So now so based on your past experiences and what you do, how is this election different than past elections?
I mean, honestly, this election is different in the sense that look at all we've seen happen nationally, right? We spent an entire summer, I was going to say summer, but just the other day, watching young Black men and women be murdered on national TV. On national TV. We know that there are some folks that don't really care about our communities. We know that there are people who feel insulted when they hear things like Black Lives Matter. And we understand that when we say Black Lives Matter, we're saying our lives matter too. Our lives matter in addition to your lives. Our lives need to matter when we're making policy. Our lives need to matter when we're talking about economic expansion. Our lives need to matter when we're talking about better education. Black Lives Matter, in my opinion, isn't just, it's not an organization, because I mean, it is, but that's not what people are saying. And we know that as a community, that we need to pay attention to those things. You know, the work that I do, I don't tell people who to vote for, but I do tell people that when you vote, you demand a different level of respect for your community. We have a president who feels like he can call certain countries SCHIT countries, that can refer to different demographics in a derogatory way. If you are not comfortable and you do not like that type of language, or you do not like that type of energy, you can vote the way that you feel. You can vote to make those changes. You know, right now, not Tuesday, right now, people can go vote. You can, from 7 to 7, we are encouraging everybody to go vote. You know, like, we don't know what's going to happen on Tuesday. You don't know if it's going to rain. You don't know if you're going to get, if you're going to get held up, if you get stuck at work late, if one of the kids catches a cold, if somebody gets sick. You have no idea what's going to happen. So if you have the time, from 7 to 7, guys, take some time and go vote. Do not let what looks like long lines to discourage you. They're not actually long lines. People have to be socially distanced. So you're going to see that the lines come outside because they have to socially distance. We are seeing some low numbers in Miami-Dade County in terms of turnout compared to the rest of the state. Black voters in Dade County are 10% less than the rest of the state. So guys, don't be fooled by polls that you see on national TV. Don't be fooled by people saying, oh my God, the lines were so long. They look long. Do not be deterred. Once you do get in a line, if it's a long, charge your phones, bring some water, you know what I mean? Like, we're asking everybody, text a friend, text 20 friends. We're all getting these text messages from random strangers. And at this point, even I am like, I'm over these texts.
Right.
But if you send that text message to your friends, that's a different message. Hey, I've already voted, or I'm on my way to go vote. You want to join me? Or did you vote already? This is the time for our community to come together and own our voice and own our message. There's so many people who have worked very hard to make sure that we don't vote. Even if it is an act of defiance, we should vote. There are people who laid their lives down. There are people who died for this right. And now people think they can take that away from us by making it more difficult, by threatening us, by doing whatever they think they can get our numbers down. For folks who say that they don't think that their vote matters, I want them to know that the last election in the state of Florida was won by less than 1%.
Wow.
Do you know, like 0.4%? You're talking 50 to 30,000 votes. That is, I mean, there are more people in Miami Gardens,
right,
that are eligible to vote, not just the population. So when people don't believe that their votes matter, this is a swing state, and it is a swing state for a reason. A swing state means the pendulum can go left or it can go right. It's all about who turns out to vote. And we know that we need to turn out to vote, guys. Like, this is, like, I'm ringing the alarm. Do not be fooled by the polls. We got to get out and vote. You got to get your crew out.
Right. It's crunch time.
Yeah, you got to get your girls out. You got to get the guys out. Let's make it happen, right? We spent an entire summer marching, demanding that people pay attention to us. Let's get to the polls, because there we don't have to ask you to pay attention. You are forced to pay attention at the polls.
Exactly. And the thing is, the funny thing is, I posted something like months ago, and it says that, Florida should be split, because South Florida versus North Florida, totally different as far as the people, ethnicity, and demographics. So that's one thing that I wanted to point out. But I do want to stress, it is crunch time. And really quickly, can you go over the different deadlines as far as mail-in ballots, early voting? We know election day is on Tuesday, but as far as mailing in your ballots and early voting, what are the actual deadlines and dates for that?
Well, early voting ends Sunday, right? I like to tell people it's not crunch time, it's now time. The last day for early voting is Sunday. The polls are open from 7 to 7. If you have a ballot, I highly recommend at this point that you take your ballot and you drop it off at the early voting site. Make sure that it's signed, make sure that you filled out everything on the ballot. On your ballots, depending on where you live in Miami or Dade or Broward County, there are different initiatives. We definitely have amendments on the ballot that folks should know about. Minimum wage is on the ballot. That's a very important amendment. If you think that the people of Florida deserve to make $15 an hour by 2026, then you vote yes on 2. If you think that minimum wage should stay under $9 an hour, then you vote no on Amendment 2. But what the amendment would actually do is increase minimum wage to $10 next year and $1 every year leading up to 2026 until it gets to $15 an hour. So that is an amendment that could do huge, that would have huge benefits in our community for folks to be able to live and work, excuse me, with a living wage. Of course, the president's on the ballot. I like to remind people your state legislatures are on the ballot, your sheriffs are on the ballot, your state attorneys are on the ballot. You have different initiatives from the different counties that are on the ballot. If you don't have the time or you don't have the capacity to do the research, find an organization that you trust. When you go to these precincts, they have folks that have slate cards. If the slate card is endorsed by an organization that you trust, like a union or the teachers or any group, use their slate. We highly recommend that everybody votes down ballot, that you don't just walk in there and vote for the president, because that is not the only thing that affects your day-to-day life. Your local is extremely important. The work that's done in Tallahassee is extremely, extremely important, and something that a lot of folks forget to pay attention to. There's not a lot of it on the ballot this time, but next time, please pay attention to who your school board personnel are, your school board members, I'm sorry. So guys, like, it sounds cliche to vote like your life depends on it, but we have spent so far a 2020 where people's lives literally did depend on it. Over 200,000 people have died due to COVID. We've watched Black men and women's lives get snuffed out of them on national TV. If ever there were an election where you stand up and say, I want to be heard, this is our rally. This is our protest. It's time for everybody to just get out there and vote.
No, thank you for that. Yeah, because I've spoken to some people and they literally only voted for like the presidency.
No.
And I'm like, no, but there's more to it than that. It stems from the bottom up. There's like local governing bodies that are so crucial to this like voting process. So thank you for that. And so there's been some controversy lately in the media as far as parties, Republican versus Democrat.
Okay.
And I wanted to get your feedback and your take on 50 Cent. You know, I'm not sure if you're aware of what he posted a few days ago. And there's also Offset. So Offset was arrested at a Trump rally. So what is your take? Okay, so the perception is that as far as voting Democrat, it's mainly like the Black majority. But I guess in 2020, there's been a shift as far as that perception. So what is your take on like Kanye, 50 Cent, Offset, Ice Cube, so what is your take and feedback on that?
So I don't know what happened with Offset.
Okay.
But I do know the 50 Cent. I've been so busy working. I haven't had time to kind of be up on my celebrity news. But I do know that 50 Cent said something about his taxes. The average American, not just the average Black American or Black voter, doesn't make over $400,000 a year. And what 50 was complaining about was, I believe, a tax plan by Biden that says that your taxes won't be affected if you make under $400,000 a year. I think that some people vote based on what's best for the collective, and some people vote based on what's best for their pocket. And if what's best for your pocket is best for the collective, then that's beautiful. Sometimes what's best for some folks' pockets is not best for the collective. It's best for a small number of people, the 1%ers. So that's really what I have to say about 50. In terms of Cube, I I recommend people be a part of whatever party they feel comfortable. Whatever party you believe speaks to your needs, speaks to the needs of your community, whatever party you believe that you can make a difference, just so long as you're being genuine and authentic about the needs of the community and it's not a selfish thing. At least that's my own personal perspective. I think you should have conversations with everybody. That is what a democracy is. But I like to remind folks that in a democracy, educate yourself, one. Don't listen to someone just because they're a celebrity. Be mindful of very effective and deliberate misinformation campaigns that are being targeted towards our communities. I'm seeing all over social media when I am on, people saying things that never happened, stating them as though they are fact about candidates. It takes 2 seconds to Google if something actually did happen. You can literally Google fact check X, Y, or Z, and it'll tell you if something happened or not. So I recommend people doing that. I recommend people not falling for the okie doke. I recommend folks doing their research. Again, do not follow people who do not and are not associated with the way that you live your day-to-day life. They got different problems and they're in different tax brackets.
Right.
That's what I think about that. Like, I wish I had a tax problem. That would mean that I have some real first world issues. I welcome the first world issues.
I agree, honey. Thank you.
No problem. But folks, really, like, all kidding aside, regardless, like we say in Miami, irregardless of what the celebrities are doing, get out there and vote. Get out there and vote tomorrow. Get out there and vote as soon as possible. Call everybody you know to get them to vote. Text them, call them. Be as annoying as I am being with my friends and family. I mean, we share all kinds of stuff.
Right.
I get so much gossip and funny things sent to my DMs. If you're going to slide in my DM, just a note to everybody out there. If you haven't voted, I'm not responding. Like,
right.
Through, show me that little sticker that says you voted. That'll get my full attention. And all my ladies out there, I want that level of energy, ladies. We got a lot of power and let's use it to motivate our men to vote. Men, you have a lot of power. Tell these women, ain't no dinner till they vote. You know, like we're not doing anything. I'm not coming over. There is no Netflixing and chilling unless we have already voted.
Definitely. And my last question is, what would you tell your younger self and how old would you be?
What would I tell my younger self about, because there's so much I could tell my younger self.
Yeah, I mean, because, you know, as we get older is when we get wiser, right? So it's like, if you can reflect back on when you were maybe 10, 15, 21, I don't know, 25, like, what would you tell your younger self?
What would I would tell my younger self that it all works out in the end. It all works out in the end. But that's what I would tell my younger self. And I would tell my younger self that at 16.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, Katia, thank you so much for being our special guest tonight. And we can find you on Instagram at, I think it's the real Katia, right?
It is, as though there were a fake one, right?
you never know.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, y'all. It is like, it's not crunch time. It is now time.
Exactly.
So early voting ends on Sunday. Election day is on Tuesday. But just get it out the way. Get 20, 30 people to come vote with you. You heard her. So thank you again so much. And let's see what happens on Tuesday. I have my glass of wine, my popcorn, and I'm going to chill and see what happens on Tuesday. So thank you again so much. And yeah.
Thanks for having me. Thank you for having me.
So this show is brought to you by the Florida Lottery. And next week's special guest, I'm sure you're all familiar with her, but it is Jill Tracy from Hot 105. So you don't want to miss it. We'll be here next week, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Live stream on YouTube or Facebook. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Bye.